Hello and welcome to a grey, overcast and very humid Catalunya circuit in Barcelona for our coverage of the first race of the weekend of the fourth racing weekend of TCR Europe 2020. It's Mark James in the commentary box for this weekend's two races. We also live streamed qualifying if you were with us earlier on, and things have changed quite substantially. You can see blue skies there, but we had an absolute downpour. There's the confirmation of that humidity I mentioned, 88%. It feels really muggy here in the bowl that is the Catalunya circuit. Just after we had qualifying, the heavens opened, a real downpour, and of course it had to be a single-seater race that was going on at the time. You had to feel sorry for the guys, but it's dried up. We do have a wet race. It's been declared wet already, so lights on the cars, but we will be starting normally rather than starting behind the safety car. That's the grid then for the first race of the weekend. Matto Homola on pole for BRC in the Hyundai, then Mike Halder alongside him, race winner from the first round at Le Castellet 7 weeks ago. Danny Nage, Homola's teammate from BRC, third on the grids alongside Pepe Oriola. And then it's the three Audis, Mehdi Benani, Sami Tofik and Nicolas Bart. And then three Hyundais, John Filippi and Jessica and Andreas Beckman rounding off the top 10. And of course it's that 10 reversed that'll be the grid for tomorrow. Not making the cut, Leonov in the sole surviving, or the sole entered Cupra, P11 Dan Lloyd, also not making the cut. And in case you're wondering, there should be a Claret somewhere. In fact, it is Teddy Claret who will start from the back of the grid. There he is, just coming up on your screen. An engine change on his Peugeot yesterday, and so he goes to the back of the grid for the first race following that engine change. So hence the reason why Teddy Claret drops to the back of the grid. A couple of other penalties to tell you about as we go through the session involving the Honda of Martin Rieber and the Peugeot of Julien Brichet. But there is our pole sitter, Matto Homola, fourth race weekend, fourth different pole sitter. And will we have our seventh different race winner this weekend? There's Mike Halder in the Profi team car, and admitting earlier on when I chatted to him after qualifying that really didn't expect to be where he is, made big changes after Q1, the car really not working, and they said it's one of those things that was either going to work or it was going to throw away the whole thing, and thankfully for him it worked. Danny Nage, when I asked him about whether he preferred a dry race or a wet race, he said, I think we've got the dry setup sorted now, clearly with two cars in the top three, but he said, I really like heavy rain, so if it is going to rain, I really want it to be heavy. And unfortunately, his prayer's not answered, so a damp track, not a soaking wet one. Pepe Oriola, winner last time out 2 weeks ago in Monza. What can he do from the second row of the grid? His home race. And as I was saying earlier on, if you were with us, he was with me in the commentary box when we were here last year for TCR Europe. And he is extremely happy to be doing a full programme of TCR Europe this year with Brutal Fish. And you have to say, a very strong lineup from the team with both Dan Lloyd and Pepe Oriola teaming up with Martin Rieber. Mehdi Benani, team leader, I suppose, of Come To You, although it's the two young guns, Nicolas Bart, who was successful in Zolder, and Sami Tofik, who was quickest in both free practice sessions yesterday. So even though Mehdi is by far the most experienced, he's also playing the mentoring role to his two young teammates. So to tell you about these two penalties then applied, one yesterday, one today, Martin Rieber picking up a €500 fine for two offences, crossing the white line coming out of the pits and speeding in the pit lane, which in itself was a €350 fine. And Julien Brichet not having a great weekend. He picked up the same €350 fine for speeding in the pit lane earlier on today. So I think that pretty much wraps up the penalties handed out so far. Andreas Beckman's quickest lap in Q2 was also disallowed, but his second quickest lap, that was because of track limits. His second quickest lap was enough to keep him where he is, so P10 on the grid for this first race and pole for tomorrow's race. And it'll be an all Beckman front row of the grid for tomorrow's race too, because Andreas lines up alongside his sister Jessica. Just looking very briefly at the position of the at the head of the Drivers' Series coming into this round. Dan Lloyd had a huge lead. That's been slashed, really, after Dan Lloyd failed to pick up any qualifying points here. And so he's now 28 points clear of Nicolas Bart, and Mike Halder and Mehdi Benani a further 14 points adrift. 173 points for Dan Lloyd, 145 for Nicolas Bart, 131 for both Mike Halder and Mehdi Benani, and Matto Homola 10 points for pole position, 121 points, so he moves up into 5th in the series. And really, we keep saying that some of these big names that we were expecting to see winning at the start of the year still to really get their championship campaign underway. It's an extremely compact championship for obvious reasons. We started 7 weeks ago at Le Castellet in France, then it was Zolder in Belgium, and then 2 weeks ago the Temple of Speed at Monza. And so we are just starting the second half of the championship here in Barcelona. In 2 weeks' time we're back in Belgium at Spa, when we'll be supporting the 24-hour race, and then finally Jarama back in Spain for the final round in the early part of November. But let's concentrate for the moment on this 7th race of the series here in Barcelona. Mike Halder won here 2 years ago on his TCR Europe debut. Last year, race 1 was taken by Andreas Beckmann, who qualified on pole, and race 2 won by Dan Lloyd. How positions have changed, and if you were with us earlier, you'd have seen him talking to Annette Kuvari down in the pits, saying that the 60 kilos of success ballast he's carrying this weekend really blunting his challenge, and really he was hoping for heavy rain again like Danny Nage. And so there is our series leader, but really I suspect damage limitation is the best that Dan Lloyd can hope for, starting from mid-pack in both races. And there, another man we were hoping for greater things. Runner-up in last year's series to Josh Files, Julien Brichet finally got the winning streak underway 2 weeks ago in Monza when he won race 1. But really could do with a string of good results to bring him into contention for this year's series. The Peugeots, though, well off the pace here. And Teddy Claret, the only man to get through into Q2 in the Peugeots, but because of that engine change, back to the right to the back of the grid for the Frenchman, who celebrated his birthday yesterday, as I mentioned earlier. So then, the cars coming up to the grid then. There on the right of your screen, Matto Homola. On the left of your screen, Mike Halder. And then on row 2, Danny Nage and Pepe Oriola, with the first of the Audis, Mehdi Benani, lining up alongside Sami Tofik on row 3, and row 4, Nicolas Bart and John Filippi, we didn't see earlier in the first of the target competition Hyundais. 22 entries, all of them line up on the grid, and although the rain has held off, the clouds are threatening. It's very much a gloomy atmosphere over the circuit here. However, right below me in the commentary box, final car into position, green flag being waved, you can't see it, the lights come on, the revs rise, the lights go out, and it looks to be a clean start. Dreadful start from, I think, John Filippi, 27, the target competition Hyundai. And has Mike Halder got the line for the first right-hander at turn 1? I think he has. Mike Halder having got the jump on Matto Homola. It's Halder who leads from Homola. Pepe Oriola's also made up a place from 4th to 3rd, and in fact, Danny Nage goes backwards from starting from 3rd on the grid. He's already down to 5th. So all change then in the first few corners of this opening race of TCR Europe here in Barcelona. It is Mike Halder who leads Matto Homola. Pepe Oriola up to 3rd, Mehdi Benani up to 4th. Nicolas Bart, I think it is, who's up behind Benani in the other Audi. Yes, it is. Then Danny Nage having dropped down. Then Tofik. Andreas Beckmann's already made up a couple of places from Julien Brichet, who's up into the top 10, as is Dan Lloyd. Jessica Beckmann losing out, dropping down to 11th. And Pepe Oriola holding off, having got past Matto Homola, so Homola drops another place Oriola now up into second behind Mike Halder. Remember, 2 weeks ago, the positions were reversed. It was Pepe Oriola who led the race and determined to hold off the charge of Julien Brichet. This time, it's Pepe Oriola who finds himself as the hunter. Mike Halder, though, off into the distance. There's his sister Michelle. We've also not mentioned Manu Sapag from Argentina in the fourth target competition car as Danny Nage goes up the inside of Julien Brichet. Brichet, though, all over the back of the Hyundai, and Nage having dropped right the way back. Brichet weaving as they go up the start-finish straight. At the end of lap 1, Mike Halder leads from Pepe Oriola, from Mato Homola, Mehdi Binani, Nicolas Bart, Sami Taufik, then Danny Nage, then Julien Brichet, Andreas Beckmann, Dan Lloyd. That's your top 10. And through goes Julien Brichet, and that is Martin Rieber. So, disappointment for Martin Rieber, but his two teammates, Pepe Oriola currently second, Dan Lloyd currently 10th. And this is the scrap at the lower end of the top 10. Brichet having got past Danny Nage now for 7th. And behind them, Andreas Beckmann, Dan Lloyd, Jessica, John Filippi. So that's the battle for sort of 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. There is Julien Brichet. There is Danny Nage behind. So Homola having dropped from 1st to 3rd. There he is. And Nage having dropped from 3rd to 7th. Just having a little look up the inside of Julien Brichet. Squirrels under braking. Two of the target cars, Jessica Beckmann alongside Manu Sapag. The pair collide. There's contact between the pair. Sapag continues. Jessica Beckmann once again in the wars. And is there damage to the rear of Sapag's car? Let's just take another little look at that as the pair tangle. And Jessica pushing Manu wide on that corner. The pair making contact, and Jessica once again in the middle of the action. There it is in the background. The pair continue, but they've dropped way down the order. Sapag dropping to 16th, Jessica to 19th. And the incident involving Martin Rieber under investigation. We didn't see the original incident, we saw the aftermath. Rieber having retired. So, more changes thanks to Jessica's slightly unwise move on her new teammate. Mike Halder still leads, the gap just over 2 seconds now to Pepe Oriola. Then it's Mato Homola, a further 1.5 seconds behind. Then Mehdi Binani. Sami Taufik has made it up past Nicolas Bart. So the three Audis running together, P4, P5, P6. Julien Brichet's up to 7th. Danny Nage drops to 8th. Andreas Beckmann is 9th. And John Filippi now has passed Dan Lloyd for 10th. Lloyd is 11th, Michel Halder is 12th, Jimmy Claret is 13th, Leonov is 14th, and currently in the final of the points positions, 15th, is Vontaja in the Peugeot. And it so looked yesterday as though the Audi would be the car to beat here. Taufik quickest in both Free Practice 1 and Free Practice 2. But it was the Hyundai of Mato Homola that struck back. And originally the grid for this race was Hyundai, Honda, then the 3 Audis, and then 3 more Hyundais. And unsurprisingly, 26 and 33, Jessica and Sapag under investigation also. There then is our race leader. Can Mike Halder become the first driver to win more than one race so far this year? as Mehdi Benani just takes a little look at the inside of Mato Homola. This is the scrap for third. Mike Halder is now 2.7 seconds clear of Pepe Oriola, excuse me. Then it's Mato Homola holding off Benani. Then there's this little Audi train of Benani, Taufik and Bart, P4, P5, P6. Taufik just takes a little look up the inside of his more experienced colleague. Jimmy Claret moving up as a result of Michel Halder having a problem. Down at the bottom end of the top 10, Florian Brichet having dropped to last. Michel Halder having dropped to 20th. There is Michel in the pits. The car going up on the air jacks, so whatever it is potentially can be fixed, but that's her out of contention for this race. Michel, remember, winner of race 2 in Zolder 4 weeks ago. So a gap between first and second, 2.7 seconds. Then it's another 2 seconds between Oriola and Homola. And Homola's got 2 Audis in very close attendance behind him. The very experienced Mehdi Benani, race winner in World Touring cars. And that's Jimmy Claret, who's got a problem of some sort. Evgeny Leonov in the Cooper has just got past him. That's the scrap for 12th. And Stefan Vontage just behind. Teddy Claret, Jimmy's brothers, made it up to 15th after starting 22nd on the grid. But look at that gap. Honda's first and second. Then it's Homola, third in a Hyundai, determined to score another podium finish. But it would appear that Mehdi Benani's got other ideas. And I'm looking out of the window of the commentary box. It seems to have got darker. Whether that's my imagination playing tricks, I don't know. And there is a drive-through penalty coming up on the timing screen. Teddy Claret has a drive-through for causing an accident. There he is. So at some point in the next couple of laps, Teddy Claret will have to come in, having been given a drive-through. Yes, causing a collision in turn 15, which is the second part of the chicane that leads down to the final corner. So car number 20, Teddy Claret in the Peugeot 308, picking up just what he didn't need after having made it up into the points positions. So his disappointing weekend continues as Mato Homola just steps out across the curbs. No change in the top 6 currently. Julien Brichet has made it up as far as 7th, ahead of Danny Nage after that scrap we were watching earlier on. Andreas Beckman 9th, John Philippi 10th, Dan Lloyd still 11th. Leonov, as I mentioned, past Jimmy Claret. Then it's Vontage and Sapag now. Manu Sapag is in the points in his first TCR Europe race of the season. He did appear in Monza last year, I think it was. And the original plan was for him to do the entire season this year with target competition. But he's going to be with us for the final 3 rounds as up the inside. And in fact, Taufik has got past his teammate. So Taufik has got past Benani. And it's now Taufik who's taken the fight to Mato Homola. We're halfway through this 12-lap race in Barcelona. And this is the scrap for 3rd place, the first of the podium places. While both the men ahead, Mike Halder, 3.7 seconds quicker now than Pepe Oriola, and opening up a gap. Oriola himself 2.3 seconds up the road ahead of this battle. Taufik weaving to try and unsettle Homola. Nicolas Bart, who's currently in 6th, race winner at Zolder. So the Audi, the team, very capable of winning. They clearly are in the hunt for the team's title this year. And I know we concentrate on the battle for the driver's title, but the teams Championship this year looks very interesting. Matto Homola making that Hyundai extremely wide. Taufik, though, right up behind him. Benani still up behind young Sami. And there is Martin Rieber having got back to the pits. And we'll find out afterwards exactly what happened to him. And that's the moment where Taufik gets past Benani, and sets off in pursuit of Matto Homola. The leader then, on lap 7 of 12, Mike Halder, now over 4 seconds ahead of Pepe Oriola. Then this battle for third, and it looks to be going the way of the Audi driver. Sami Taufik picks his moment and passes Matto Homola for third place. And after his performance yesterday in both free practice sessions, you kind of expected something like that from Sami Taufik. He's not driven here in Barcelona since the end of last year when they tested here. And he said he's not raced here since he was here in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. But that doesn't seem to have affected him whatsoever. He now sets off in pursuit of Pepe Oriola. The gap something like 3 seconds from third up to second. But already opening up on Matto Homola, who's now switched to defence from, once again, Mehdi Benani. So this is how our top 10 looks with changes further back. Julien Brichet dropping back. So it's Halder now from Oriola, from Homola, Taufik, Benani, Bart. Then Danny Nage up to 7th, Andreas Beckmann to 8th, John Filippi to 9th, and Julien Brichet down to 10th. And behind, as Michel Halder rejoins, her problems having been sorted out, behind the top 10, Dan Lloyd is 11th, Leonov is 12th, Jimmy Claret 13th, Stefan Vontage is 14th, and Manu Sapag 15th, and in the last of the point scoring places. So a couple of battles to watch. Taufik, though, not pulling out the kind of advantage I was expecting. Third place not settled just yet, it would seem. So there is Bart behind them. Currently Honda's first and second. And Audi now in third place for Taufik. Then it's the Hyundai of Matto Homola. Audi of Benani, there he goes. Audi of Bart. And then 3 Hyundais, Nage, Beckmann and Filippi, before the first of our Peugeots, Julien Brichet back in 10th. And the pattern we've seen so far this year seems to be repeating itself here in Barcelona. A very clean first race. There have been the odd incidents, as I'm sure drivers will be quick to point out when I get back down to the paddock, but generally it's been quite fair, quite clean, and it's the second race, unsurprisingly, that's seen the action and the dramas. A fair few DNFs sprinkled through the championship contenders. Dan Lloyd, remember, failing to finish race 2 in Monza a fortnight ago with a puncture in the second race. Mike Halder also failing to finish. And we also saw that clash in Zolder between Julien Brichet and Andreas Beckmann. Andreas currently 8th. Remember, he starts race 2 tomorrow from pole, with Jessica alongside him. Jessica has now, in fact, overtaken Sapag, and she's in the final of the point-scoring places. So, Jessica Beckmann 15th, Manu Sapag 16th, then it's Navarro. And so, in identical Hyundai i30Ns, is Danny Nage, who is currently 7th for the BRC team, and then the 2 target competition cars of Andreas Beckmann and John Filippi, 8th and 9th currently. Thumping across that curb. And Nage will be disappointed, as will Homola, I suspect, after what looked like real promise after qualifying. Mike Halder, though, the lead still 3.978 seconds. Then it's 1.6 seconds back to Taufik. Behind Taoufik, Homola, Banani, Bart, Naj, Andreas Beckman, John Filippi, Julien Brichet, Dan Lloyd, Evgeny Leonov, Jimmy Claret, Stefan Vontager, and Sapag has got past Jessica Beckman once again for 15th. Martin Rieber, according to my timing stream, is not going any further, but Michel Halder is out there somewhere. So 21 of 22 cars still running, so my screen is telling me. Now things settling down in this final third of the race. Tyre wear, an issue we know here in Barcelona, so our drivers just keeping something in reserve for the final lap or two. Andreas Beckman just having a little look at the inside of Danny Naj. There is Dan Lloyd, laying off behind him in the orange Volcano Motorsport Cupra. Laying off, familiar, very familiar in fact with Barcelona, competing in the Spanish Endurance Championship, sharing that car with the 2018 TCR Europe winner Mikel Azcona, who was on WTCR duties this weekend at the Slovakia ring. Now, has Naj got past Bert? Yes, he has. So, Naj has moved up into 6th. Bart drops to 7th. And breaking the toe, Danny Naj goes back at him. And at the inside of the right-hander, but it's the left-hander at turn 2 next. Bart, though, takes to the outside of the corner, and so he'll have to give the place back, as he does. And just behind is Andreas Beckman, P8 currently. So this is another scrap worth watching. So Naj then, back up into 6th. There is Bart, there is Andreas Beckman, millimetres between them. Then John Filippi, then it's Julien Brichet in that distinctive blue Peugeot with the red stripe up the bonnet. As Andreas Beckman now dives up the inside of Bart. So the number 19 Hyundai, Andreas Beckman, moving past the Audi to take 7th. This all bodes well. You'll remember that Andreas injured his hand in that collision at Zolder, excuse me. And so electing to miss the races in Monza, it's getting slightly more physical. What was I saying about gentlemanly, polite racing in race 1? It's now starting to get a bit more elbows out. John Filippi there, as this battle for 2nd is now hotting up. Taoufik having closed right up on Pepe Oriola. The gap between 1st and 2nd is still nearly 4 seconds, but look at this. Taoufik right up behind Pepe Oriola on home turf. So currently 2 Hondas lead an Audi, but Taoufik very, very keen to move up another place. Now this is the slightly bruising moment. John Filippi just muscles his way past the Audi. And contact between the pair. That's Taoufik having a look at the inside of Pepe Oriola, who dishes it out. And Taoufik just coming back on track. We're on the penultimate lap of this race, and that's the scrap for 2nd place. Pepe Oriola in the Brutal Fish Honda, in the Come To You Racing Audi RS3 LMS. It's the young Moroccan driver, Sami Taoufik. And this one will go to the wire, I suspect. Mike Halder's well up the road now, over 4 seconds. And so, I'm not going to put the commentator's curse on it, but it would look comfortable for Halder. Let's look at this again, as Taoufik around the outside of Pepe Oriola, and there's contact between the pair, just forcing Taoufik to run wide. And I was just going to say, there was a message on the timing screen from the race director reminding cars to respect the racing line. So a lap and a half or thereabouts, and Pepe Oriola forced to defend just as he did in Monza. This time, though, it's defending second place, not the lead. But still, the 35 points he'd get for second place will be very welcome, considering Dan Lloyd is down in 11th place currently. Bart, meanwhile, has dropped down to 10th, allowing Andreas Beckmann, John Filippi and Julien Brichet all to move up a place. Unsurprisingly, this is the battle we're watching as Mike Halder goes past underneath me to start his final lap. This, though, is the scrap for second place. One more lap for Pepe Oriola to hold off the threat, the challenge from Sami Tofik. Lights ablaze. Oriola moves to break the aerodynamic toe and now forcing Tofik to the outside of turn one. Pepe Oriola comes through in second place. If Tofik's going to make a move, he's got to do it soon. Behind this scrap, Homola still fourth. Mehdi Benani fifth, Danny Nage sixth, Andreas Beckmann seventh, John Filippi eighth, Julien Brichet ninth, then Nicolas Bart, then Dan Lloyd, Leonov, Jimmy Claret, Sapag and Vontager, with Jessica Beckmann 16th and out of the points, and Michel Halder, I mentioned earlier, still circulating, but right at the back of the field. She dropped several laps while she was in the pits. However, I'm looking across from the commentary box, and in fact beneath me goes Michel Halder, and that's Dan Lloyd, our series leader, after the disappointment of that puncture in Monza. He runs wide. Drama then on this final lap. We're still watching the scrap for second, but I would have said that it's Pepe Oriola who is hanging on. Sami Tofik, though, bravely clinging on and not giving up. As I'm looking across the valley to the slightly more elevated section as they come back down towards us. Just a couple of corners left. Through the chicane. Leonov of the Audi, though, of Tofik, not finding his way past, and so Mike Halder becomes our first two-time race winner of the season. Pepe Oriola successfully defends second place from Sami Tofik, and behind them, here is Matto Homola, who will finish fourth, Mehdi Benani in fifth, then Danny Nage, Andreas Beckmann seventh, John Filippi eighth. And then it's Julien Brichet and Nicolas Bart who round off the top 10. And what did that off-track excursion do to Dan Lloyd? In fact, it's dropped him down the order. Dan Lloyd drops to 16th. And so out of the points, another zero score for our points leader. Jessica Beckmann claims the single point for 15th. And was that just a tyre issue? Was that just a moment where he outbraked himself? And that's the sad end to the race for Dan Lloyd. But that means, of course, that things now get very interesting at the head of the leaderboard. A good result, an excellent result for Mike Halder. Second victory of the year. Leonov is under investigation for track limits, but that's not an issue currently for us to worry about. That's for the stewards later on. Pepe Oriola, after that victory 2 weeks ago, now taking second place. Sami Tofik scoring valuable points for finishing third for Come To You. Matto Homola, disappointed, I'm sure, to be unable to finish on the podium as we get confirmation of that result. Mike Halder winning the race from the Brutal Fish Honda of Pepe Oriola. So Civics first and second, Sami Tofik third in the Audi, then Matto Homola in Hyundai, Mehdi Benani Audi, Danny Nage Hyundai, Andreas Beckmann Hyundai, John Filippi Hyundai, then the first of the Peugeots, Julien Brichet finishing ninth ahead of Nicolas Bart, Jimmy Claret ahead of Manu Sapag, decent points, couple of points for him on his debut. Then Leonov, Vontager and Jessica Beckmann rounding off the point scoring places. And behind them you have Dan Lloyd, disappointment for him. Jean-Laurent Navarro, Gilles Colombani, Teddy Claret, Florian Brichet, Michel Halder, 3 laps down, and the single DNF, Martin Rieber, in the other Brutal Fish Honda. So very much mixed fortunes once again for Brutal Fish. Pepe Oriola, the weight of the team on his shoulders now by finishing second. And I'm trying to think, he was carrying something like 30 or 40 kilos of compensation weight here. And Dan Lloyd complaining earlier on about the 60 kilos he was carrying. But Oriola, home advantage or whatever the reason, second place will do very nicely, thank you very much. But there is our race winner. And after that very last minute decision to switch from TCR Germany to TCR Europe, we are 7 races in, and 3 of those races have been won by Proficar Team Halder cars. Mike Halder victorious in Le Castellet race 2, his sister Michelle winning race 2 in Zolder, and now Mike again victorious after that excellent start, catching Hommel and napping off the line and first into turn 1, and after that he never really looked back, building a lead of around 4 seconds, and so comfortably clear of that scrap going on behind, as once again Mike Halder brings the Honda Civic into the Mini Park Fermé just under the podium as race winner. Already there in the background is Sami Tofik, and so we just wait. There he is. Don't take the door off, Pepe. As Mike Halder celebrates, you can see what that means to him, and I'm sure he'll be going straight over to thank the team and our cameraman. And it's very much a family-run team, a very small outfit. Mike, team manager, team engineer, and lead driver. And you have to say, it shows what can be done in TCR competition. If you've got the will, you don't need the massive budgets of some of these teams. And it'll be interesting to see what the team's position will be after we leave Barcelona after the second race tomorrow. There is Pepe Oriola. I'll be popping down to speak to him later on for a quote for the TCR Europe website. But we'll be hearing from our race winner very shortly. Race 2 tomorrow, incidentally. Coverage starts at 1:45, with the race itself due to start at 1:55 Central European time. Okay, let's head down to the pit lane. Annette Cuvari is with our race winner, Mike Halder.
Mike Halder, what a stunning work. Congratulations. It is your second victory of the season. Are you happy?
Yes, for sure. I have a really good start. This is the only track who I was before in the TCR Europe event 2020. Yeah, I have good memories for this track. I won on 2018 the Sunday race. Today we won the Saturday race, so I'm really happy, and yeah, my team make a very good job, and we are far away from home and have not the most mechanics here in Barcelona, but yeah, we are very happy for this success.
5 races are still left in the season. Are you still hungry for the title?
Yes, for sure. Monza was not a good weekend for us with 2-0 races. But today we are back, and yeah, we need tomorrow also a good finish and good points for the championship, and then yeah, we will see.
Well then, congratulations, Mike.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you to Mike, winner here in Barcelona 2 years ago when he made his TCR Europe debut, and this is how he won race 1 in the 2020 TCR Europe Series in Barcelona. couple of incidents, a couple of contacts, but that was the story of round 7 of TCR Europe 2020. All that remains is the podium ceremony and a little subdued champagne spraying ahead of the second race tomorrow. There is Sami Tofik, third on the podium, excuse me. So as well as his third place, in case you're wondering why he's got a trophy with a 1 on it, that's the Yokohama trophy for the rookie driver. So a healthy helping of trophies. I think there's also a TCR Benelux trophy in there as well. And Pepe Oriola picks up just the 1 and the bottle of champagne for second place on the podium. But our race winner for the second time this year from Germany and Profi Team Halder is Mike Halder. So there will be a trophy for him, a bottle of champagne for him, and also a trophy for the team. Elbow bumps, face masks in place, a very different environment this year to the presentations. And in honour of the winning driver, the national anthem of Germany. Or not. Not what I was expecting. No anthems this time then. But congratulations to Mike Halder and the Profi Team Halder team. Victorious here in Catalonia in this opening race of the 4th race weekend of TCR Europe 2020. Fingers crossed we'll have the pleasure of your company again tomorrow for round 8, race 2 from Barcelona. And we'll see you at around 1:45 local time.